We'll be talking with Kent Reed of American Braun and the Solace Center in just a couple moments. But first, a word from our sponsor, Grinnell State Bank, with 4 convenient locations in Grinnell, Johnston, Marengo, and Polk City. You can check them out online. They have convenient online and mobile banking. Check out all of their options that make banking fit into your life. You can get started if you're not a customer yet. Open your accounts in just 15 minutes. Not sure what you need? Check out Simply Banking and open your accounts online or in person at any of their 4 locations. They have financial advisors, loan officers, and insurance agents working under the same roof. MasterCard debit cards and no monthly fees on those debit cards too. And you can do a live chat too online at Grinnell State Bank. Time for another Out and About with Jamie Grout's podcast featuring what's going on in Grinnell. And we're back again with my buddy Kent Reed. Always enjoyable talking to Kent. I've known him for a few years now, and that's because of an organization that he founded called American Braun. And we touched on that and another organization that he has going now called the Solace Center. And let's review a little bit. Tell us about American Braun and its purpose, Kent.
Sure. Well, American Braun is an organization that I started after some first responders in Altoona, Iowa, saved my life after a motorcycle accident. And in the 6 months that I was off because of a seizure I'd had while I was in the ER, I just kept thinking that I wanted to do something more with the rest of my life God had given me to live. And I'd always appreciated what veterans had done for us, but I now had my life to thank first responders for getting me to the hospital and the ER, finishing the job to save my life. And what I decided I wanted to do was pay back and pay forward what they've done for me and for all of us, the veterans, making our country and lives free and safe, and first responders for being out there every day and night to protect us, to save us, and just make our worlds safer. So in starting American Braun, I kind of had 2 angles, and I will say my advisory board kept telling me you need to pick one side or the other. Do you want to help veterans or do you want to help first responders? And my passion leads me to both for the reasons I just mentioned.
It's like asking, or someone asking you, which is your favorite child? Yeah, and that's a hard one to answer, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. And I've found a way to do both with this one organization. And oddly enough, it's split between money and labor hours. The time that I put in, mostly events that I go to, are to hand out materials that I get from the Veterans Administration for suicide prevention among veterans. I spent a lot of time doing that. I put on events to help do that, to try to draw people and then give them the information. Most of the time, the giveaway items, the brochures, have a phone number of 988, which is the number now. You can just pick up a phone and dial 988, similar to 911, but doing this, you get professionals on the line to help with anyone with mental illness issues of any kind. And if you dial 988 as a veteran, you do that, your call will go through, then you hit 1 and you go to a veteran professional consultant to help you with that.
And I know, Kent, that you have, through American Braun, donated to fire departments, and in fact even the Newton Fire Department and different various organizations. Maybe you can expound a little bit on that.
You bet. And I mentioned our efforts are kind of divided on time and money. The money that we raise, we have we ask for grant applications to be sent to us for them to tell us what they could use money for in their first responder departments. And in the 6 years I've been doing that, we've raised and spent over $80,000.
Wow.
On all the way from AED units for the Poweshiek County Sheriff's Department that had one that had been on the wall for a long time and we replaced it, to a 175-pound dummy for the fire department in Newton to use to practice pulling people out of a fire.
And when I was at the radio station, you brought that into the station too. And boy, that thing was heavy, and that's nice practice for those first responders.
Yep, and they didn't seem to have a problem at all dragging him in. So those kind of things we've given to departments across the state of Iowa, into Nebraska and Illinois. They just find us on our website or Facebook and send a request. So at this point, we've kind of changed gears. Instead of just doing one or the other, just giving of time or giving of the money, we now have put together a program in town here in Grinnell that we call the Solace Center. And instead of me going out trying to find people to give materials to, we have all those same materials available in this facility, but we ask people to come visit us every Thursday evening from 6 to 8 o'clock. And it's on the third floor of the Masonic Lodge building here in Grinnell. That's 928 Main Street, across the street from Brown Shoe Fit and others. And for that 2 hours, I'm there to receive anybody that wants to come upstairs. I promote that our offering is for veterans and first responders, but because we're on the third floor, I say, doggone it, anybody that comes to the top of those stairs, we're here to help. Mm-hmm. And there is an electric chair to take you upstairs, so it's not that everybody has to climb the stairs. But truthfully, anyone who needs solace time to take things off their mind, from a veteran PTSD situation to someone who's maybe had some other mental illness reason, we just give them things to do.
And you have spoken to me about veterans who do have PTSD situations that they just wanted to come by and have someone to talk to.
Yep, exactly. And I'm blessed to believe in God's assistance that things come together for a reason. And the first person who became seriously interested in what I was doing was a gal by the name of Victoria Springer, who I consider a partner now in my effort. She has a lot of personal experience with PTSD, with drug issues and alcohol issues. She's a proud member of AA, has been sober for 42 years.
Wow, good for her.
And she has been through lots of treatment and experiences, so knows what folks have been through and can just relate to them and talk to them. She nor I are professional counselors, but we have all the information of the facilities that are available and the people available here in the greater Grinnell area to call on for assistance, be it veterans, first responders, or any individual, to help them find their way. And at this point, I will say that the greatest extent we've taken that care is our facility is divided between kind of the front half of the room and the back half of the room. The front half is like an art studio. Big windows on the front, a lot of natural light. The back half is a more intimate setting where we have small music concerts and an area just for reading. And Victoria and I both at different times have invited people to walk to the back area with us so we can have a more private conversation and see what it is that's really bothering them and offer them our own help and assistance in just talking through this, or find them the professional help that they might need and encourage them to reach out and do that.
So have they done that? Have they reached out to some of that professional help, Ken?
I know of 2 that have, and I'm an optimistic enough guy that I believe there have been more, and I believe in not just my Solace Center's practice, but beyond that, races that I've been to with a booth to attract people. Sturgis, South Dakota, I went to one time during the motorcycle rallies there, and it invited people up to talk. And they take information away that with the story they've told me, I'm confident they were reaching for something and some help, and the information I gave them helped.
So you're coming up to an anniversary.
We are.
For this center. Tell us about that.
It was March 21st of last year, 2024, that we first had a Thursday night open for anyone who wanted to come. And I have groups of people in my own involvement in town, and the church that I go to, the first responders, of course, here in town that I know. I have friends from church who are veterans and very active with the American Legion. So I was fortunate to immediately have about 6 people that came up right away just to see what it was all about, and they've all stuck around. We've had another 6 or 8 that have come and gone and come periodically, have gotten tied up with other things. But the beauty of it is we try to make it as easy as possible. Anyone can get to the top of those stairs, and anyone can come from 6 o'clock to 8 o'clock on a Thursday night without checking in at first to make sure we're there. we're always going to be there on Thursday nights.
Well, it looks like, I'm looking at your flyer here.
Yeah.
It looks like you have like a Mardi Gras type thing.
We sure do, and we're calling it Amerigras. By golly, the Amerigras party at the Solace Center. It is March 21st. It's going to be from 6 to 9 o'clock. And we have a generous band called the Too Many Strings Band.
All right, I've heard of them.
A favorite here in Grinnell.
You know, I work part-time at WHO Radio. And let me tell you a little quick story here. I don't want to get sidetracked from this.
Sure.
But a couple years ago, I have some friends who used to work at WHO, and unfortunately they were let go. It was Max and Amy. They did the morning show on WHO, and they were doing a broadcast from the Iowa State Fair from the Crystal Studios, and they took a picture, and I had just posted, boy, it's always been my dream to broadcast from the Crystal Studios at the Iowa State Fair. Oh, wow. And so the program director saw it, and so did another friend of mine who I had worked with at the Newton radio station briefly. And between the program director and the guy I'd worked with, they made it so that I could do a 2-hour stint at WHO. And my boss in Newton said it was okay, that was fine. And I invited the Too Many Strings Band to come and do that, because on a talk station like WHO, you're not allowed to play music because of licensing fees.
Oh, I see.
Well, they had a song that was unlicensed.
Right.
So I brought them in, and they filled that Crystal Studio, and it was like old-timey radio,
Yeah,
you know?
awesome.
And they were great, and they came in and did a fantastic job because they were going to perform at the Iowa State Fair.
Oh, got you.
And they came in, and they were wonderful. So I can endorse them, and I think they're going to do a great job for this anniversary celebration.
Excellent. Well, I'll share how I made the connection. I knew of them.
Okay.
But there's a gentleman in our group, a participant named Brian Cranston.
Sure.
A really good friend of mine.
Not the actor.
Not the actor, a different and better one, in my opinion.
All right.
He's a young man, proud to say he's lived with Down syndrome his whole 42 years of life.
Okay.
But he's very high functioning, and he knew Sig Barber, who is one of the leaders of the Too Many Strings Band.
Will you tell him Jamie Grout from WHO said hi, okay?
I will tell you.
Maybe they'll remember
we
would when they came to the Iowa State Fair and were on the broadcast.
Yeah. So I I got his number from Brian, and I called Sig and told him who gave me his number and name, and he knew well who that was. And, you know, being with a nonprofit, I had to go towards, can you do a show for us? And is there any way you can donate your time? And my angle was, I know there's a lot in your band, but I'd be happy if just a few of you could come. Mm-hmm. So he said he'd get back to me. And it was probably a week later, he calls me up and says, Kent, this is Zig Barber. I said, yeah, I just want to let you know that we got our band together last night to rehearse, and it looks like everybody can make it.
Yeah, they are fantastic. And as I recall, there's a number of teachers. I don't know whether they're high school teachers or college, Grinnell College or what, but they do a fantastic job. So check it out, for heaven's sakes.
Yep, so the Too Many Strings Band are going to be there with us.
Good.
And I've left it wide open to him that we're going to be there from 6 to 9. Start when you want and end with you when you want. But besides that, we'll have hot hors d'oeuvres. They're going to be made and catered by a friend of mine from high school at Des Moines East High School. Mm-hmm. She's coming over that night to bring over our foods, and we'll have lots of snacks and non-alcoholic beverages. The Masonic Lodge doesn't allow alcohol in the building, so that makes that decision easy for us.
Uh-huh.
And it's going to be a free will offering. So anyone who comes up can enjoy the snacks, enjoy the music for whatever they want to donate. But you and I both know nowadays that's a good plan, because people giving from their heart will give more than if they just see a price on a poster or a door.
It's like a pass the hat kind of situation. Yeah. Well, that is great. What do you see for the future for this place, Kent?
Well, I actually started American Braun Solace Center based off of a gentleman I'd met over in Cedar Rapids by the name of Scott Dressler. He's a 28-year Army veteran who told his mom when he was going to go to college, when he was going into the service, she made a promise that he would go to school when he got done. 28 years later, he did go to college for fine arts, and out of school started this program where he invites veterans to come and do art projects that he puts together. And he's quite the artist himself. And I saw that, and after going to visit him, I came back here, and driving back, I thought, the only place, because he's on the 5th floor of the building in Cedar Rapids where their city hall is, right amidst the river there. Huge, big windows. And on the way home, I thought, the one place in town where that would be just as cool as the Masonic Lodge. I wonder if there's anything up there. So I approached them, and they were happy to support veterans as well. And I hope either one, to share this idea with someone in another town interested in doing it.
Make it grow a little bit. Yeah.
Just to make it easy for veterans and first responders with suicidal concerns or thoughts to reach out. It's hard for them to get past their pride and reach out for help of any kind because they're so used to helping everybody else. That I think we are an easy way to reach out and just check us out, and then hopefully guide them to help if they need more.
What is that number for suicide prevention again, Ken?
It's 988. And the interesting thing is that the National Suicide Lifeline has always, it's still the same number it always was. They just prepared 988 to roll to that number. So you don't have to remember the 10-digit number anymore.
And you and I have talked about this on the air too, Kent. And I think, I'm trying to remember the movie, I think it was called The Hurt Locker or something like that. It is such a hard adjustment for these veterans coming home from military life, especially if they were in Afghanistan or some of these other places, to come back to what you and I consider a normal life, isn't it?
Exactly. Civilian life.
Civilian life, yes.
Where, to a great extent, if they happen to be fortunate enough to get into a job, well, now they've got co-workers that they feel comfortable with and feel like they're going through the same thing I am, they don't get that same feel of camaraderie that they had when they had brothers and sisters right beside them, maybe not even on the front line of a battle situation, but in the same office, in the same country, away from home, dealing with what they're dealing with. It's just a whole new situation. And on that note, I'll remind people have probably heard this number a lot, but 20 to 22 veterans a day take their lives.
Oh, man.
2 or 3 of those are active military. So that tells us, although that too can create issues when they're in the military, the vast majority are folks that are out of the service, maybe freshly out and having a hard time adjusting.
Right.
Or I've heard of retirees that go into and finish another career and afterwards start thinking of things that they went through. PTSD can develop because they have more time on their minds and hands to think of things, and sometimes develop guilt that not only did they make it out of the service, but they made it through a long life and their friends didn't make it home.
Right. Yeah. And again, a lot of times they just don't want to talk about it. It's like you hear about World War II folks who come home and they never wanted to talk about what happened. They just kept it to themselves. And, it's hard to talk about these things. So this is an opportunity for people to just be able to talk and open up and make friends, and maybe with other people who are going through or went through the same kind of thing that can relate to all this kind of stuff. So as we wrap up this podcast again, let's go down the flyer, Ken, and talk about the anniversary of this wonderful place that you and others have created.
So first of all, our organization is called American Braun, and we have a website. It's americanbraun.us. Braun is spelled B-R-A-W-N. And there's lots of information there on our links page for folks to go to for help and things of interest. Our Solace Center right here in downtown Grinnell at the top floor of the Masonic Lodge at 928 Main Street. Our Amerigras party for our anniversary is March 21st from 6 to 9. You don't have to RSVP. Just come, show up, but plan to have hors d'oeuvres, so a light dinner, and beverages there, and entertainment to enjoy. And several of our regular participants plan to be doing projects so people can see what they're usually making themselves busy with and doing while they're there. I will mention also we've got one participant, a former participant that we hope to soon be a future participant, that had problems with drugs and alcohol and 2 years prior to him finding our location, he had been through an incident that caught up with him after he had spent a few months coming to the Solace Center. He then spent a few months in Powashik County Jail. An appointed attorney got him through that. He now is at Jasper County Jail trying to get another problem he had gotten into dealt with there. He's an artist. He produced a lot of art while he was up with us, was actively painting during an event that we had last November, and we're hoping he's going to make it out and be able to be with us March 21st. He is well onto his way of cleaning up his life and doing good. I'm in conversation with his mother and stepfather that live in Ohio, and with him on a fairly regular basis. They're able to call and receive calls. We just don't know where putting ourselves out like this is going to pull us.
Right.
And it's been so rewarding to see him smile when we go to visit him or call him on a video call, and know that he's got something to come out for.
Well, and sometimes in rehabilitation, it takes time for these things to come about. I did about a month ago a podcast with Robbie Robinson, who is with Discover Hope, and it's kind of like a Salvation Army organization, and it's a Christian-based organization. And there's a gentleman that a lot of people in Newton know of who is homeless, and for the longest time he didn't want any help until the weather got really bad. You know, the winter weather got really bad, but you'd see him going up and down the main drag in Newton, and he finally went inside, and Discover Hope helped him out. And I think he's off the streets now. And the reason I'm saying that, it took a long time before he finally did. And this gentleman sounds like he's slowly getting rehabilitated, and it takes some time. And God bless him. It sounds like he's coming around, Kent.
Every time I go to visit him, nowadays when you visit someone in either one of those jails, you don't get to be in the same room with them. You go there, sit down, and look at a video call. You're looking at his picture in a little screen.
Right.
But they can bring materials out to me from him, and each time he gives me about a dozen pen and ink drawings that he's done with a blue ballpoint pen. And all different styles and things. So he's able to keep his mind busy on positive things, which has been a great thing.
I have to put him in prayer, and hopefully he'll come around. You bet. Well, good luck to you and all the other people involved in the American Braun Solace Center, and hope you have a great get-together for your anniversary, and continued success, and we'll revisit this again sometime in the future.
Very good. Thank you very much, Jamie.
Yes, our interview guest has been Kent Reed, and you can check out the video shortcast on this at outandaboutwithjamiegrout.com, and don't forget to check out all the other podcasts we have at outandaboutwithjamiegrout.com, and of course these podcasts available on all the podcast platforms: Spotify, iHeart, Amazon Podcast, and all the others. We'll talk to you again next time here on Out and About with Jamie Grout. Until next time, Grout is out. See ya.